I wrote like 6 posts today alone.
All right, guys, we should be live.
Hello.
Hello.
Yep. Good morning. For those of you in the YouTube chat, give us a yay or a nay on the audio. Can you hear me? And can you hear these guys? Because my audio is on a different stream than everybody else.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Am I sounding good?
Hello.
I'm going to try to preview the stream just very briefly. We should be live. It looks like I can hear myself for sure.
Hey, is there anybody in the chat? It doesn't seem like there's anybody in chat yet.
Well, there are people watching because I see the numbers.
Am I sounding good?
But
yeah, there's 26 watching. Yeah.
The thing is, there's a delay between when I ask. There's like a 20-second delay. So when I ask for a yay or a nay on the audio, I have to wait about 20 seconds to get an answer because it's not real time.
Can you hear Murray?
About the chat.
Yeah, everybody says all good. Yep, we got you, Murray.
Oh, good. Great.
Yep.
Very cool.
So I hope everybody's had a good month of June. It's I will say, as far as like Linux and free and open source software, this past month was a little light on news compared to like some of the previous months this year.
I haven't really kept up.
Minus the launch of KDE Plasma 6.1.1.
Oh well, of course. I mean, obviously that's
I have
the biggest story of the year, right?
Yeah, I have an adventure with KDE 6 and OpenSUSE. Didn't come out well.
Well, share it with us.
Okay, I spent 3 weeks with OpenSUSE because it's has a rolling release and you can back yourself out. You can go to the login grub menu. You get one entry that says go into OpenSUSE. Another one says recovery, where you can go to a root terminal and do recovery. And the third one says a snapshot, so you can back out to your snapshot. So that's on the menu. Mm-hmm. So you go in and I got everything working. And I tried it. First thing, I made a change, went to the grub menu, backed it out, and come back to where I was. Worked perfectly the way it should have. And then I tried KDE 6, and it has this little floating panel at the bottom. You have a little bit of space. I don't know why they did that. It doesn't seem a big deal to me. But I said, okay, I can add a panel at the bottom that hides and put all my status information in there, space used, disk used, percent of CPU. And they have all these bar charts and fancy widgets. So I said, okay, I'll give that a try. And so I created a panel. I created about 4 times the normal size of the existing panels to see if the widgets could take advantage of it. Mm-hmm. So I added 6 of them. I go to add the 7th, and the system locks up. Cold, dead cold, screen goes dead, can't move the mouse, can't move the cursor, dead as a doornail. So I have to reboot and say, okay, this is perfect. This is what it's for. You can backtrack using the snapshot. So I go into the grub menu. First entry is there, go into it. Second one entry, grub with it. The third one is missing. There's no more go back into your snapshots. It's just not there. And then you can go into recovery modes, which I did, list the snapshots, and then back out the snapshots in the recovery mode, which I've done with ZFS lots of times. But I go into that, I can list the snapshots, but when you do a rollback, it says invalid system file, invalid file format, or something like that. None of the rollouts working. So it failed on the restore part of it completely, which is entirely disappointing because that's the purpose of the backout. So at that point, normally you'd have to go into forums or search Google and see what other people say and do. But this time I put it into AI, my u.com chatbot, and it gave me the proper answer right away. It told me to remove a file in home config plasma dash with a big long name, and that would remove all my bookmarks. So I did that, rebooted, came right back in with a bare panel and all my bookmarks. But it got me back in.
That brings me into exactly what I've been going through lately. I went through something very similar with, of course, Arch and KDE, where Kwin was misbehaving and whatever. Doing a Google search gave me so many conflicting results. But then I decided to go to ChatGPT 4.0, and it gave me, I used a search called what's it called, serendipity or whatever it's called. It's called perplexity.
Yeah, I use that one too.
Yeah, I went to Perplexity. They both gave me similar results, but the one Perplexity gave me was the correct one. It was just an issue with, I had forgotten that I used Brody's solution to fix the caching issue with Plasma 6. So it told me just remove the symlink, that you must have created a symlink to your cache directory on an SSD. So disable the symlink and revert to default, and give your cache time to rebuild. And I did that, and immediately I stopped having Kwin crashes.
Yeah.
Mind you, I'm still on X11. I'm not. I fear. I tell that to people. I fear Wayland like I fear for my life being attacked by a bear. So
do you guys feel the same way I do, that when AI was first being talked about and when it really started becoming like mainstream news about a year and a half ago, everybody was kind of down on it, and would it ever really be a real thing? And now we've seemed to have turned a corner, because I would say, like with me and the program I shared on video a few weeks back, GPT for All. Like, I use that thing all the time now. Like, it's such neat technology. And like, Murray's getting answers to his Linux questions, and Dark Zero is using Perplexity and ChatGPT. Now, do you think we've turned the corner, and now people are going to be much more open to the idea of using these?
But I need to add a disclaimer here, a massive, huge disclaimer. Do not use AI to create work for you. Use AI with
to fill in the gaps of
fill in the gaps,
right,
and correct any work you have created yourself. Use it as a tool, as an extension, but not as a thing that will do your work for you.
Well, I'll give you a perfect warning here, because we probably do have some young people watching this stream. Don't use ChatGPT to write your homework, because trust me, your teacher, your professor, they can tell that a human being didn't write that. Because when you read this stuff, you can tell it's got a different kind of flow to it than an actual person writing it. So you're not fooling anybody if you get ChatGPT to do your homework.
I can give you
actually,
one second. Sorry, Slendy. I just wanted to give an example of exactly what the DT is talking about, because I did that the other day, because I was requested to do a write-up about AMD versus Nvidia. I did use ChatGPT to help me out with the post, because I had just returned from watching a 3-hour movie called The Horizons by Kevin Costner. But I didn't have all my thoughts together, but I needed to do the write-up just to satisfy this user on Discord. I just used ChatGPT. It gave all the wrong things. The guy on Discord was like, you're mentioning this and that, but they mean the same thing, and you're saying that this is in the pros, but it should be in the cons, and everything was backwards and forwards, and there was no link to substantiate any of the claims that were mentioned in the post. So ChatGPT just gives you nothing. If you blindly copy paste, it's going to come across as ChatGPT. It's going to be very it will show that
you should know the answers to the questions for the most part before you ask it. It's just saving you the writing, right?
What I wanted to say is that in my experience, I've had false positives with this AI checking stuff, like quite a bit. So I had to prove myself that I've actually did this.
I often ask questions that I already know the answer to, just to see if it will give me the right answer. And, you know, I would say 95% of the time I'll give the right answer, but there's still a sizable percent, like, you know, say 5% of the time it's going to give me completely the wrong answer to a question I ask.
Yeah.
And if you're not knowledgeable, it can seem correct, which is one of the scariest things with this.
That's another thing. It has the answers of ChatGPT are so convincing that sometimes you just catch yourself off guard, just copy pasting things, feeling confident that it's ChatGPT who gave me the answers, so they might be correct.
Well, you guys saw that video I did where people were getting answers to questions, like with a pizza recipe. It said, you know, add glue to the sauce.
Yeah.
Or you know, weird stuff. Or your pasta recipe, add gasoline to the red sauce. and you know, it's not the technology's fault that it had those answers. It went and got those answers from people that posted on the internet. The problem is so many people post complete BS on the internet, on Reddit posts and things like that. How does this AI, how does it know what is
there's no human element? There's no human element. It's just data. The data is data. It cannot tell the validity of the data because it doesn't. It lacks the humor because sometimes we tend to joke around a lot. That's the type of BS we put on Reddit, for example.
Right.
It's
jokes.
I asked to tell me something about Liechtenstein, and it volunteered that the population of Liechtenstein is 386. And then I asked it the specific question, and it gave me the right answer, 146,000. I asked it, how long does it take a black hole to evaporate? A general question. It came back with it, a star with a black hole with the mass of the star evaporates in 21,064 years. It's really 10 to the 60th or something like that. I asked it about the universe. Is it saddle shaped? And it came back with two sentence thing. The first, it's not saddle shaped, or it is saddle shaped. And then second sentence, it says it's not in the shape of a saddle. So,
so it contradicted itself,
especially
the same answer.
Especially with science, like the hard sciences like physics and, you know, astronomy, things like that. There's so much bad information on the internet. I actually feel sorry for the AI. Like if it's, you know, it's going to get like the flat earthers and things like that that filter into it.
That brings me to a question I want to ask you guys. Would you trust an AI that's connected to the internet over an AI that's offline, or vice versa?
Well, we already have that with ChatGPT.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm asking the question, because if it's connected to the internet, it's going to give you the probability of it giving you wrong answers is higher than when it's offline and the answers are curated by a human being.
Yeah, but where you run into the problem, it depends. Do you need information like recent information, like breaking news kind of information? If you do, then you need it connected to the internet. If you don't, then it wouldn't matter. Yeah.
And there's also this thing where it's trained on the internet, so
not necessarily. There's some of them are trained and and the answers curated by humans. Like the one that DT mentioned, the one he made a video about, GPT for all. That one is extremely heavy, especially when you start downloading the heavier content, the multi-billion LLMs.
Well, that thing is obviously designed to not need an internet connection, so you actually have to download the
humongous
language
amount
model.
of data,
and it's gigabytes inside. Yeah, it's a big download, right?
If you're using local,
but to be honest, the UI
always
sucks.
have to download the model if it's local.
Yeah, but you need a machine to render to make it run.
Yeah, but I had a few people ask that question about that video. Is, you know, why did they need to download something that big? And of course, the whole point is that's not connected to the internet. Now, if you want something connected to the internet, obviously you have ChatGPT. But this was trying to be something different. It's just a different
local.
Yeah,
but the UI
way
sucks.
to do things.
The UI is atrocious.
Have you heard of
GPT for all?
Yeah.
Yeah, Olama basically it's just like the backend. Like it provides an API, and then you can have any interface you want on top of it. So you can.
Yeah, I've played a little bit with Olama, the command line tool that basically uses the Meta's Llama.
Yeah,
So,
that's
and it's okay if you like playing with, like, if you were going to do some scripting, then it makes sense to have a command line tool. Most people are going to want a GUI, though. That's why I shared
Yeah, you can.
GPT for.
Yeah, Olama is like a Docker. It's like a daemon that runs in the background. And then you
But
can
I could
connect to it.
definitely like do something with like a D menu script or a Rofi script,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, where I could just have a D menu prompt and where I could type my question and get an answer
You
and
can have like a web
YAD
server
dialog
that
box
connects
or
to it.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
but
Python has,
the
Python
problem.
has built-in functions to do that, to query.
Well,
AI
Python
and-
literally has a function to do everything. That's why it's such a great language.
But sometimes the problem with such things like AI are, for example, you type a question, you have to wait 3 minutes to get the answer.
Yeah, that makes sense because, well, that's how it works.
Yeah.
Depending on the question, sometimes it has to
card.
crunch a lot of data too.
Yeah, especially when you ask it things. Because I think it's only available for paid members, but you can upload when you upload a bash script and tell it to analyze it and then fix errors or whatever. That shit takes a while.
Yeah, well, with analyzing a bash script, I mean, why wouldn't you just use shell check?
Well, shell check does check some syntaxes, but when you want it to check the entire thing against itself, I kind of use the ChatGPT, and most of the time it fixes everything and it does everything correctly. It just takes a while. It depends on the length of the bash script, of course.
There's an AI chatbot called Grok. It's similar to the other ones, but it's
the one from X, right?
I'm not sure where it's from. It's extremely fast. They have their own hardware to do it. It's lightning fast. So I put in the prompt to create a bash script to remove duplicate files based on their hash. I entered the prompt. I closed my eyes, hit enter, counted to 1001, and it was there in front of me. Without it just goes out in one chunk. You don't see it going out line by line.
Yeah, that is because the answer in line by line mode in ChatGPT or some other such tool like Bing Chat is streamed. That means as soon as the answer is generated, as soon as the bit is generated, it will get sent to you. The reason that because that's more natural for humans to see. But also it's important to know that a huge amount of how much time it takes is A, on hardware, B, on size of the model, and C, on the optimizations they do on both on the back end, on the model, and in some other things. Let's just say that there is a lot of work that goes into the speed and all that. And
there's
the best one, from what I know, in terms of how accurate it is, don't quote me on that because I don't do AI, is GPT-4 Omni.
No. That is where I have to correct you because that's what I use. Most of the time, it gives me wrong answers. It's not very accurate.
A lot of false positives.
Let's be first of all clear. These are transformers. That's what technology behind it called. That are not specifically trained on code. Therefore, likelihood that what they will do with code, that it will be wrong, is higher than for some other answers.
I'm not talking about code. I'm not talking about code, specifically code here. I'm talking like I tried even the one that they compared to Her, the movie Her. I started a conversation with it because her voice is so damn sexy. I started a conversation with it, and I told it to create a story and stuff it was just random stuff. It was not understanding anything I was asking it to do. It was just understanding one word from here, one word from there, combining them and guessing what I meant. but it wasn't working, even in conversation
Yeah.
mode.
I want to
It
address
also
what,
depends on what it is targeted at, because at the end of the day, we should all remember what
Yeah.
these GPTs, these large language models do. They take a word, or it's actually a letter, and if it makes sense that the next word it thought of makes sense, that sentence, it will put it there. There is
you
no
might be
intelligence in that.
right on that one, because I asked it the weather I asked it the weather in Beirut. And she gave me the weather in Lebanon, Tennessee.
No.
I am not
Yeah.
might be right. I know that is correct, because like that's
But when I said
that's how
Beirut, it went to
transformers
Lebanon,
work.
Tennessee. What does that have to do with anything?
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
guessed Beirut, Lebanon, so it must be Lebanon, Tennessee.
Yeah. It couldn't be more far off, two different places in the world if it tried. Huh?
Exactly. So I was like, she must be dumber than Siri.
Right. Wow.
Not necessarily.
I want to
It's
address
so many
shots fired
real
at Siri.
quick what Big Pot said a bit earlier, in that training an AI mostly on coding will make it better. I want to say that is completely false, because, for example, we have GitHub Copilot, which was trained on pretty much your whole code base, and still gives you a lot of false answers and bugs in your code.
Of course, again, as I said, it is basically putting one word after another. Does it make sense? Does it not make sense based on the data it already has? And it has basic understanding of what you asked it, and then does, based on that, puts a word on a word on a word. There is no actual intelligence behind it. There is no actual,
Exactly.
like,
That
you're
is
thinking.
that is
There is no
correct.
such thought process behind. That's why there's so many incorrect information. That's why there is so many, what it's called, hallucinations and so on, because it's literally a word after word after word. There is no actual thought process behind it.
It's
And
an
here's the
accurate guessing machine.
Yeah, and here's the
it's
funny
actually
part.
guessing.
Here's the funny part. While I was trying to do a conversation with Omni, I asked when it hallucinated. I was like, "Are you high on something? Are you hallucinating? Give me the right answer." She was like, "What's hallucinating?"
My AI is smoking crack. Huh?
Yeah.
What's hallucinating?
At least it's better than a Markov chain.
In that context, I don't know what hallucinating means.
I wanted to ask you guys, Big Pot probably knows the answer to this because he's so closely tied to Microsoft, is that the whole GitHub Copilot thing. Are there still legal challenges going on with its ability to use all that code and,
No idea. But I wouldn't be so sure there is actually any legal challenges, because, and this is not legal advice. I am not a lawyer. This is my take on the licenses.
Nice disclaimer.
If AI has a problem with, I don't know, what's the I lost the what's the GNU public license, GPL.
Right.
If AI would have a problem with GPL, so would humans.
Well, that's the thing, is if I
technically it's the same process that happens.
Yeah, because if
you
some
read the
copyrighted piece of software, for example, or some code, I end up putting into my program because I used one of these AI chat assistants, does that open me up to legal problems?
Not just that.
Yeah.
If you read the code, the GPL code, with someone saying that AI cannot use GPL code or some other code, if it's open to be read by humans and therefore changed,
and of
so
course
should
there's some things on GitHub.
So should machine learning algorithms be able to do that.
And not everything on GitHub, of course, is free software. Some of it actually is proprietary software. It may be source available, so they'll put the source, but you're not actually allowed to use it.
We do not know what they do.
Which brings me to something that ChatGPT client, the one I'm using at least, has a small line at the bottom that says ChatGPT can make mistakes. Check important info and please check validity of the license. Code
Wow,
license.
Yes, of
ChatGPT
course.
has a warning now. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it has
They
it
had
under
from the
under
beginning.
the chat box.
Okay.
Good.
I know they're
Because
petitioning the
But
Canadian
it's like
government
really tiny.
to
Yeah, go ahead,
exempt.
Murray.
They're petitioning the Canadian government to exempt them from the copyright rules so that they can
Oh,
no longer.
that's a different problem there.
yeah.
But yes,
How
in
do you
my
get an
opinion,
exemption from copyright? I just put.
Well, that's what they're going for.
but again, as I said, based on how I understand those licenses, especially fully open source and free licenses, and some source available licenses, if human can read them and learn from them, not copy paste but just learn, therefore machine learning algorithm which basically do the same thing should be able to do it as well.
But where
But that's
where the human can tell that the license is not can tell the difference between the licenses.
Yeah,
ChatGPT cannot.
You just feed it the data that has the right license.
Yeah.
Well, we'll eventually,
That's
and
what they
this
do.
will happen in the years ahead. We're going to see, like he's talking about, that machines should have the same rights as the human.
I'm not saying
we're
machines should have the same rights.
We're going to
I'm
have a
saying
lot of
it's the
this
same
settled in
process.
court at some point, for
Yes.
sure.
I'm not saying machines should have the same rights, because until they have sentience, there is no rights to speak of. But what I'm saying is the same process. Therefore, legally there is no difference.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least, in my opinion, legally there shouldn't be any difference.
But here,
Let's be
I
clear.
want to bring in kind of a discussion related, but a little bit more sensitive, because I've been doing a lot of research around people, especially in the writing realm, where people that write news articles, blog posts, and stuff like that. A lot of these kind of people are losing their jobs because
Yep.
AI is taking over, and AI can
Yes.
generate a higher yield a higher number of posts. But where the problem lies is the quality of the posts, and
Of course. Again, it's putting a word after word after word. It has no idea what
exactly.
it's
But
talking about.
still, people are still losing their jobs to AI.
Well,
Of course, because it's not about validity of the article. It's not about actually how correct the article is.
It's
about
how
the
many
amount of
articles it puts out,
Right.
because more articles
And
equals more money.
Right,
It because more clicks, more ads, which equals more money. Yes.
And to be,
Exactly.
and I'm going to be
And
honest
at
here.
that, AI is better than human.
Dark
I
Zero.
know sooner or later AI will be better at code than me. So I'm basically sooner or later be obsolete.
Yeah, and these people that are losing their jobs, if they're losing their jobs to AI, they weren't really doing much anyway. Like, these are the people that probably were, like, if you're a tech journalist, you see the articles, right?
That's
Top
so
5
real.
reasons to switch to Linux, or top 8 system administration tool. Like, it's the same damn article every single day when you go to these sites, and an AI can write that just as easily as that human being can. So of course they're losing their job. They weren't really doing anything.
Yeah, if you don't
of
offer anything to
substance,
the table,
really.
you're gonna be replaced.
Right.
I can agree to that, because
I'm
I am a
I'm
writer.
gonna say Michael Laravel probably won't be replaced.
No, he can't
soon.
be replaced because he does something very unique and different.
He
That's
does
the point.
substantial things,
Right.
Instead of 5 things to X.
Right, but the ones that are, if you go read any tech site, it's the same recycled articles over and over and over.
Yeah, so the reason I feel like I can talk about this is because I am a blogger now. I am currently going to leave YouTube completely, and I'm confident on doing that.
Yeah, I'm going to link to your site in the chat. So
now I am. This is just being friendly and being positive in the Linux community. But the thing is that because I'm a blogger now, I see, like DT said, He's 100% correct. It's all the same things regurgitated over, because most of us, especially doing it for as a hobby, instead of writing the blog article, we just copy and paste from other places, combine different sentences from different articles.
It's just a content mill. All these websites, they're just, it's content farming is all they're doing.
It's creating as much as possible to overwhelm the overwhelm whatever algorithm you're targeting, so that users see as much as possible of you, so that they would click, generate you money, basically show them ads, generate you money, and that's where it's done. That's the transaction done. That's the
except in my case
thing.
Except in my case, I don't put ads or I don't use SEO because I don't want to be searchable. I just my whole goal behind my website.
Good luck not being searchable too.
Why do you want to not be searchable? Please tell me, because you're basically destroying any chance of having audience.
No. Because I don't want a big audience. I just want the audience I cater to, that I control. I don't want it to go out of control. And plus, ads for me are very intrusive, so I don't like them on my website. And plus, people are gonna block them anyway. So I like to share things that I post in my circles myself, instead of being searchable. I don't care about the bigger audience, because I'm not generating money. I'm not doing it to generate money. The reason I'm mentioning all this is because I'm currently on a job hunt, and the kind of jobs I'm looking for, since I can only do remote, is writing blog posts. But when I started looking for those kinds of jobs, they were so few and far between because AI took over.
It's a bad time for that.
Not just because of AI, because who still writes blog posts outside of news media?
Right.
That's true. I didn't realize that when I started looking, but
unless you're doing corporate level blog post writing, but at that point you're writing because you're an employee at a certain company and you're trying to get something out. So you're not gonna be hiring a blog writer.
Yeah, well,
you're going to get paid very little money, and you have to write the topics that whatever editor, he's going to give you exactly what to write. So you're not even doing anything yourself for yourself. You're
doing it for somebody else, and specifically now those kinds of people are called ghostwriters. And there's a lot of positions for ghostwriters. People hiring ghostwriters to do the writing for them, so they can take credit for your own work.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people that, especially when it comes to writing books, even full-length books, that people that can't write, but they're popular. Maybe they're some kind of moderate celebrity status or whatever. They feel like they need a book, but they can't write. They'll just hire somebody to write a book as a ghostwriter. They'll slap their name on it.
And they're making money off your back, basically.
Honestly, you can be a programmer and you have something you would like to tell, like in a book format, but you're not a wordsmith. You could, so you need to find someone who can take your stream of thought into an actual readable book.
Exactly. That's but at the end of the day, I thought about it for a little bit, but at the end of the day, you're still making money.
Yeah,
but not as much, not as much as you would hope to. For you see the other person who hired you making 1,000 times more money than you ever will.
That's why.
But at least you're making some money.
Good contract. That's why I need to have a good contract.
Yeah, but those are not contractable works. Those are freelance works. You just do it once and that's it.
That's why you have to make a contract for freelance work, right? You
Well,
you write up a contract by which terms you will complete the work.
Yeah, I
right?
know, but
That's what
most of these things, since most of these kinds of jobs appear on the likes of Upwork and Fiverr and stuff like that, good luck getting a contract.
Yeah, that's why you shouldn't be using those things unless you really want to make bare minimum of money.
Yeah, Fiverr's not a great site.
No, not
Fiverr's
anymore.
a great site if you're actually looking to purchase work, but if you're looking to sell your work, I would never sell it on Fiverr.
Yeah, I've been trying to sell my work, sell my work, just basically find jobs basically on Upwork, because I've seen people ask, "Hey, I'll pay you $100 if you help me restore my Windows account." Or I lost my files. I want to try to recover them. I'll pay you $1,000 if you can recover 100% of my files. Or
wow, they're desperate then.
yeah. Those are the things you find on Upwork.
As a contractor, I do things that I can.
Yeah. Well,
I like my contracts.
yeah. Well, if you look Upwork, for example, some people are paying $10 to recover X and Y files from their computer. They don't remember where they put it. If you teach them how to search correctly on their system, they'll pay you $10.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with Upwork is, for example, in my case, in order to get paid, it's wire transfer, and for each wire transfer, they charge $50. So you got to land a lot of jobs before you can receive your enough money without feeling the $50 being gone. Plus, you have to pay the income tax.
Yeah, I mean, in your country, is things like PayPal and Stripe, or are they?
No, none of those work. None of them. Only
that's
wire
what everybody
transfer
uses,
works.
Unfortunately. So yeah, that was.
Yeah, that's why I have to rely on wire transfer. There's a lot of Lebanese people on Upwork, so that's why I was pointed to it. But they told me, be careful. They charge $50 for wire transfer. So you got to land a lot of jobs, and you got to
that's not worth it.
Settings to get paid only once a month or once every 3 months. So that's a problem. Right there. But at least they support Lebanon. That's the first service I see that supports Lebanon in one way.
I'm sorry, I had to laugh at something I just saw in the chat. Crosbo says, "Yeah, asking random people over the internet to recover your files. What can go wrong?"
Exactly. Exactly.
Like,
I don't know how the hell they feel confident enough to ask for that. Don't they know that we can keep their files?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If somebody's desperate enough to pay somebody $100 or even $1,000 to recover some files, that means there's some really important information there. Do you want somebody else to have access to that? I mean,
but I'm telling you, Upwork, there's a lot of joke job offers. But hey, if it pays at the end of the day, why not?
Yeah.
Especially when you're desperate for money, like I am.
What a good contract, and that's it. I was lucky. I got myself a good contract.
Hello, everybody.
I heard somebody. That sounded like Ben.
It is Ben.
Hello.
Hello, Benny, old boy.
I just got up, Derek.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you sound like it.
You would not want to see my face right now because I look half asleep.
You're not better than you're better than I am.
Yeah, and Steve knows that face all too well, and he can attest to that.
Yeah, but it's better than my face.
Many times.
It's better than my face right now.
And I have some news for you, Derek, and I think you're gonna like it.
All right.
Stormo is back.
Yes, he took it right out of the freaking mouth.
Well, I figured that's where we were going anyway, so we all would have won that bet.
Yes, and I have a new version to tell you about.
Oh yeah.
Well, we've Ricky and I have been slaving away at this one.
Yeah, and you did a good job. I saw the video, the stream. You did a good job.
But we have some more that we've done to it, Steve.
Yeah, I know, but at least you got rid of the icons on the desktop. That made me happy.
Yes, we
Wow.
did. And the only ones that are there now are the kernel manager, which I know nobody's heard about yet, but that's in there. And the new screen recorder that my buddy Seeker built is in there.
Based
And,
on what's it called? The other one.
kernel manager, yeah.
Yeah.
That we've put that in there. And we've also put a screen recorder that my buddy Seeker custom developed, and so those are the only 2 additions that we've really done. We've updated Calamaris to 3.3.7, and yeah, so we've.
I'll be
we've
waiting
added
for the
some-
day where you create a Bash-based installer or TUI-based installer.
Wow. That's what we
Well-
need. We need a command line installation.
Well,
Well, that's where I'm headed
we've,
with my project.
oh, good Lord.
I want to have to do an installation over SSH. Can we do that, Ben? Can we?
No, that's Derek.
Well, you can with my
Doing
script.
installation via serial.
Yeah, you can
with
with my
Well-
script.
serial install.
Well, the closest you might get to that is we're nowhere near that kind of thing. Not in a long shot, Derek. No.
I can give you
But-
some pointers.
Oh God, help us.
Yeah, I can give you some pointers. Don't do it.
Yeah, we're not going down that rabbit hole. Hell no.
Oh damn! Trust me, it's very deep. This rabbit hole is very
Yeah.
very deep.
We are
You guys
not
are supposed to
going
be taking
end up-
Linux forward, not backwards.
Oh God. All I can say is there's never going to be any Arch distro that you can install through freaking SSH.
Well, you can Arch Linux.
I'm about to say I can do it. We can
Well,
do that with
yeah,
main-
but Storm OS will probably never have that function as long as I'm in charge of it.
Well, here's the thing. When you get into Python and Bash scripting, and you combine both together, there's a lot you can do. I went
Yeah.
through that rabbit hole, and I'm still in that rabbit hole, and I'm enjoying it.
Look
Yeah,
at you, Steve.
Putting it together, actually, you can create a bash script where you can combine the two. You can have the bash shell on the outside. Excuse me.
Yep, that's what I'm doing.
And Python here statements inside it, and then and your
That's what I'm doing.
Python code can be a bash variable. So you can
Yep.
in the bash header part, you can change your Python statements. So it's
Yep.
the sum is greater than the individual parts.
Yeah, I mean, you can run a Python function inside a Bash script. You can do the same with Python. You can have Bash executing inside a Python script, so you can do it both ways.
Wow.
That's basically what I'm doing currently with another thing on top with a front end written in Rust.
Oh wow.
Thanks to no, the front end I take no credit for. It's Oglo. It's all Oglo.
Oh, wow. That's
It's not me. I don't touch Rust. It's
Yeah.
very
Wow.
very iffy, kind of like YAML and the tabs
not.
and the spaces
It's
with YAML.
explicit. It's explicit, but it's not iffy about spacing or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, I hate
Well,
languages
Nick,
that
there
are,
is nothing better than YAML.
any language that is picky about spaces. I can't stand.
Yeah,
Oh,
like YAML, because
Yeah.
I'm dealing with Docker
No, no.
containers. If you have one space too many or one missing space in the YAML file, error cannot deploy container.
Right.
Have you ever heard of an IDE or Vim or Emacs
Emacs, yeah.
Oh,
or
my
Nano
God.
or
They'll
anything
put the spaces.
that has a bit
yeah.
more logic than cat can tell you whether you have too many spaces or not.
Wow,
That-
I'm
but the
using
problem,
Kate.
Big Pod,
I'm using Kate, and Kate doesn't tell me any of that.
Big Pod,
Oh,
you're
shit.
right. IDEs will put the spaces in there for you if you're writing it yourself. But what if you're getting something
don't
off the
have an
internet through
ID?
copy and paste off of GitHub. Sometimes
Great.
it doesn't, and then
Most of
What
these
if you only
programs
have
tell you
Nano
whether
to
you have
work
the
with?
right amount of spaces or
yeah.
not.
Well,
Yeah,
okay.
what if you write it in Nano?
Okay, DT. Okay, DT. You hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the
I
head
can tell
because
you, it tells me. Nano on one of my servers, on the one that I do YAML files for, Docker Compose, definitely tells me if I have wrong amount of spaces.
yeah, well, for me, in my case, I the way I write my compose files is I copy the code off of GitHub, and instead of getting the YAML file, like I do things weirdly. I just copy the contents of the compose file, create a file in terminal, touch compose.yaml. I nano into that YAML file, and I Control-Shift paste. And without realizing that this, because it's a copy and paste, that the spaces were messed up, I save it, and I keep wondering why it's complaining about weird spaces.
Well, then you have a problem on your in your GitHub file as well.
No, I'm copying them from other projects' GitHubs, not my GitHub.
Okay.
You know what? And while we're
Don't
at
do
it,
that. Understand what you are doing.
Yeah, sometimes
while
I
we're
don't.
at it, I've got to complain about languages that are very picky about commas and semicolons as well.
Oh shit! Here we go.
Lua.
I was actually going to mention that one. So.
Yeah, Lua.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on Lua and JScript, JSON.
Oh yes, no.
Well, all I can say to that is, Steve, thank God you don't mess with Awesome Window Manager, dude.
Yeah, because it's Lua based. Yeah, I know.
Yes, of course.
Zellige used to use YAML for the layout files.
Now, what was that, Murray?
Zellige used to use YAML for its layout files.
Right.
They switched to something
frick.
so and it's far better. It handles nesting in it. So
yeah.
Oh, speaking of Zellige, I posted on my website about Zellige, and instead of using your video, DT, I don't know why I missed your video. I posted Chuck, what's his name? Tech Chuck, whatever his name is.
That's for Chuck.
Yeah, I posted his video instead. I need to replace his video with yours because you deserve more views than he does. Because I know you.
He's doing pretty well with the views, huh?
Yeah, he's doing very good. Very. I was surprised. He came out of nowhere on my timeline, and I think he just started his Linux journey before he was doing something else.
Yeah, actually, I don't get too many recommendations for Network Chuck. Now that you mention it, you haven't come across him that much in my feed. He doesn't pop up that often either.
No, he comes up now. He comes up very often, and one of his videos that popped up was Zellige. I was like, oh, and he always wonders about, is that the developer's best friend? Is that the developer's best friend? And now he has a video talking about a monitor. Is that the monitor for for a developer? I'm like, what does a monitor have to do with development?
Yeah. And I've played with things like GNU Screen, and I've played with Tmux in the past. Both of them are interesting programs. You know, they're not bad programs. But I did think Zellige was much more user-friendly out of the box. Like if you knew nothing about them.
It's slick.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It's well done.
I need to try it on console, on KDE's console. I don't know how it works on KDE's console.
It has one nice feature that you can launch an application in your layout suspended. Say you have HTOP. When you launch it, it's in suspension. You hit enter and it will execute. When you hit Control-C and kill it, it stays suspended. You come back to that pane and just hit enter again.
Oh, that's really cool. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know about that.
So I have 12 monitors in tabs in Zellige. All of them were suspended. So I can select any one of the monitors like bottom or BTM or the other ones. And I can select it, hit enter. And then when it's finished, I just cancel it and go back to what I was on it.
I think it works. It works better with Alacrity and the likes of that. It doesn't. I need to try it on console, see how it behaves, because console.
That's what I use. KDE consoles. It's perfect.
Now, terminal multiplexer really should work in any terminal, like even the TTY.
Yeah, I know. I'm not talking about not working. I'm talking about the way it works, because console has this weird spacing, like on the borders, left and right borders, where the the scroll bar has to be like when I run C matrix to have the matrix code. There's this empty space on the right side where the scroll bar was supposed to be.
Steve, you're supposed to disable all the menu bars and scroll bars in console.
I disable them. That's what I'm saying. I disable them, but it still thinks they're there.
What kind of hacker has a scroll bar? Come on, Steve.
I don't use scroll bars, but that's the thing.
I
But
have a
it
scroll
still
bar.
thinks the scroll bar is there for whatever reason.
I
So I want to
have,
see if
because why would
Zellage
you disable
will
it?
eliminate the spaces.
Are you talking about KDE console?
Yeah.
Oh, so
If I run C matrix, for example, although the scroll bars are disabled, I don't like the scroll bars. So it still thinks that the scroll bars are there, so it leaves an empty space on that side.
Okay, I see what you're saying. It still reserves the space as if it was there, but it's still
yeah,
it's not there?
exactly.
Okay.
I want to see if Zellage behaves the same way.
Okay,
I think it's a console thing.
could be. You know, KDE tends to mess up a lot of things.
Oh, it is. It is. Definitely.
Here's the thing. I watched Brody's stream on KDE Plasma 6.1. He was drunk when he did it, so he's excused. But we didn't get any information.
There's a joke there that you pretty much have to be drunk to be running KDE, but I'm just
yeah, I know. But the fact that he managed to get to have developers, I don't know how, he had some KDE developers on the stream. They live fixed a few issues, but even after that, there are still a lot of bugs that remain that he mentioned on stream. So I'm wondering what the hell is going on with that, because he mentioned a specific bug where in the settings, if you go to the search bar in settings and you right click and you get the drop down menu, the copy and paste, the drop down context menu. Okay, they fixed the part where clicking anywhere will not get rid of it. You have to click onto another search field to get rid of it. But they fixed that, but they didn't fix the part where clicking any option of the drop down context menu clicks through it to the icon underneath it in settings. They didn't fix that, and it's been in existence for the better part of 5 years, that bug. So they fixed one part, but they didn't do it completely. They didn't fix the rest of it. So I'm wondering, were they drunk too?
Well, can you really complain if a bug's been in existence for 5 years? Were you really expecting it to be fixed?
Not really, but
okay.
I was expecting to be surprised. Since they went through the trouble of fixing one part of the bug, I thought they would surprise me and fix all of it. But
so
anyway.
Derek, you were doing some work with Flutter. How's that going with you?
Well, I haven't done much here in the last couple of weeks, but I did play around with it in a pretty serious way there for a few days. And, you know, I actually enjoyed it. I actually learned a little bit of Dart, which is the language. And if you're familiar with pretty much any other programming language, Dart is super simple. Like it's very easy to get into. So somebody like you, Murray, that, you know, plays a lot with Python, Dart, the same kind of concepts that you're used to. So you'd pick up the language just like that, and getting up and running like a beginner app, a first app, literally in half an hour, you'll have something that you could play with, a first app with a few buttons that do things when you click on it, you know, write a couple of simple functions. And it's a really neat piece of technology. It really is. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. Because I was half joking, because I always talk about things like Electron and, you know, these bloated kind of technologies, these web apps. But, you know, when you play around with them, I can see the appeal. I really can.
Did you first look at it about 2 months ago?
Yeah, that was when we did the chat with patrons 2 months ago. Somebody mentioned something about Flutter, and I said I'd take a look at it. And shortly after, a couple weeks after that stream, I finally got around to it and played with it. And
that's when I first looked at it as well.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a package called Flet, and that lets you use Python with it. So I did the sample with Python, but I just cut and pasted some code and ran it, and it works well with Python. Actually, one developer said he liked Python better because in Dart you have this constant keyword in front of structures, and in some of the Flutter commands you have to have the constant, and some of them you have to have not the constant, and he could never remember which ones were which. So
I did find that confusing too. The two the constants and non-constants. For me though, as far as the language, Flutter versus Python, I'm not much of a Pythonista. I mean, I know a little Python, but I know just enough to be dangerous with Python. So for me, just starting with Dart was fine because it's about the same. So
yeah, I looked at Dart
for me, but if you already know Python, it just makes sense to just go with Python.
Very similar language in Dart. I like Dart as well.
I found Dart a little C-like in the way it was constructed, a little Python-like in some areas as well. Like it's one of those things, if you've seen other programming languages, they really are. A lot of them are basically the same concepts. They're just structured slightly differently.
No. I mean,
you don't think so?
No.
I mean, the only languages I find that really are very different from anything else I've used. Obviously, I play a lot with Haskell, and Haskell is a really peculiar language compared to most mainstream.
That's what I wanted to say, because there you can have languages which are more functional, or languages that are more, what was the word?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I mean.
Certainly the Lisp variants are a little weird. Like they're in their own kind of category compared to most everything else, but
yeah.
Okay, I won't say all languages are. If you know one, you know the other. Okay, it doesn't quite. You're right. I've been corrected. Now that I think about it,
I went to Streamlit instead of Flutter because a different use case. Flutter is more exacting, and if you're going to do something to distribute across the web and make some money from it, it's a major application. Streamlit's a bit quick and dirtier. It's more like Python compared to Rust.
And it's all in Python? Or Streamlit?
Streamlit, yes. I'm using
it's all Python, right?
Yeah, I'm using Python for it.
I haven't played with that.
It has limitations. If you have a slider control and you change the slider control, it it executes your screen from top to bottom again and redraws the screen. And there's ways around it, but it has limitations. You can't, like in Flutter, you can say, I place this widget in this location with certain width, certain height, and position it. You can't really do that with Streamlit. You have to split in columns and say, I can put this in this column and something in the other column and set columns of different widths. So you can't really place it well.
For those in the chat, I'm actually going to give some links here because we're talking about creating these web apps, and they're pretty simple. For those of you that want to play around, I'm going to give a link to Flutter. The Flutter documentation is pretty simple to make your first app. I'm also going to link to Streamlit, which I haven't played with, but Murray, obviously, you're telling us a little bit about it. How easy is Streamlit to get up and running a first simple application with a few buttons or a slider?
Oh, it's pretty simple. It's
pretty simple.
It's good. And you can use it. I use it where I usually have a bash script to do something, but you need a GUI interface, like duplicate images on it. You want to clean up a file with your images, you can set it up that way. So I'm using it locally is sort of a technical support type of thing. Okay. So I'm not looking to distribute something on the internet, but you can with it as well.
No, me neither. I'm not interested really in creating a program that people use because I don't want that headache. I don't want that responsibility. I just like learning a little bit about the technology because, just playing around with Linux and a lot of free and open source software. I just want to know how things work under the hood. So that's, I'll explore these things for a little bit to see, oh, that's how you create a GTK app or a Qt app or a Flutter app, but I'm not actually interested in actually making one and putting it out there for the public.
Yeah, neither am I. It's the same thing, just using it locally.
Right.
It's a great tool to create, for example, streaming apps.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the one of the links you posted. It's kind of neat. You can create streaming front ends for Docker container.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad. And the fact that they're showing a UI of an iPhone, that's good for me.
Well, that's the point of these kinds of technologies is you're writing cross-platform applications, but typically when they say it's cross-platform, probably most people they're creating these for mobile. You know,
Yeah, and the fact that they're showing iOS on their website.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
I would
The
imagine
time
a
point
great
of this
majority of Flutter
is-
apps, for example, are probably Android apps.
Yeah.
most point of this is that you can write single code base for both Android and iOS and
Right.
potentially
And Mac.
for Windows. Not
Mhm.
not so much Mac, but more for Windows because at the end
Now
of
it
the
makes
day,
me wish I
95% of
it makes me wish
90%
I
of it
hadn't
is
paid the
Windows.
$10 to get a player to play my locally stored music on my Docker container.
Mhm.
I could have created one with Flutter.
Well, that is the dream. What Big Pod is talking about. Most people obviously use Windows as an operating system. Most people probably have an Android phone, it's the most popular mobile operating system. And what do you want? You want your app to work both on the phone and your computer. And if you write in one of these, toolkits like Flutter or Electron, things like that, for a developer, it makes sense because you can write it one time and it should work on both.
Yeah.
It's
That's the
like
theory
Java.
anyway.
Write
yeah.
once, crash anywhere.
Yeah, that is true. But that not what. Thank you for that, DT. Because now I wanna mess around with this because I like creating that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think you'll find it really easy. I think you'll actually find some of this stuff easier, for example, than creating a GTK application. Not that a GTK application's difficult, but I think this kind of technology is definitely easier.
Especially
Compared
for
to
someone-
making a GTK app, this is absolutely easier.
Yeah, especially for someone like me who drowns in a lot of code. I feel overwhelmed very easily.
That's Streamlet's nice because you're essentially gluing the widgets together on it, and you have very little Python code in there, and you
Yeah.
can get AI to generate a lot of the
Right,
functions.
and that's one of the frustrating things with GTK and Qt is when you're creating the various widgets, the sliders and the buttons, the radio buttons and things like some of the code in that can be a little hard to wrap your head around.
They use JSON. I mean C++ in the end, the Qt application. So
right,
Yeah.
which is part of the problem.
Yeah,
C++.
it's not
I mean-
it's not as big a problem as people think. But by using C++, it makes them very responsive. But the quality
you have to know C++.
About as responsive as anything else, really.
These days, I would say it's
And
depending on the
reason
type
for
of
that
application.
is because there is so much waiting in the GUI app, you really do not feel any difference between, I don't know, written in even in JavaScript, which
No,
is
in
slow
Java
AF.
you do know.
I know
this.
people like to say JavaScript is bloated and slow, but honestly, depending on the type of program you're writing, the language shouldn't matter. Like if it's a simple program, it really doesn't matter what you write
If
it
it's
in.
a simple program, no. But if it's a complex program, this is where it starts to show.
Well, if it's crunching like a million numbers, then it matters.
Yeah, but at that point,
like most programs are not doing that. Most programs are doing really simple things.
yes, especially GUI programs, the GUI stuff, that thing doesn't actually do a lot of stuff that you would see it lag. And if you actually see it lag, unless it's doing actual computational work.
Well,
but
here's the
then
thing.
Being
Here's
smart
the
person
here's the
can
thing
write in
with
a separate language.
with what you're saying. For example, if you make an app, a GUI app, let's say a
Yes.
music player in
Yes.
Flutter, and then you add on top of that a loading screen before the app loads, the loading screen will cause the app to kind of lag a lot because it's continuously waiting for you to switch between page and page, because every time you switch, it's going to show the loading screen, and and everything. So it kind of makes it
Wait.
lag.
What?
Yeah,
You know why loading screens, you know why splash screens are there and so on.
yeah, because
To-
they don't want you to notice the loading, basically.
Yes, and because
But
it feels much better than things popping in.
for
But
whatever reason,
reality is most of these languages, their runtimes are fast enough that on a modern system you won't notice loading on something like a music player.
well, in my experience, any application that had a loading screen, once the loading screen was done loading, the app felt less responsive than when you first loaded it. Basically, I don't know why, but
That is impossible.
that could be bad coding.
No, that could be you thinking something that isn't true.
No, because I noticed the app starts lagging once the loading screen is done. That's all I noticed. I'm
impossible
not
to happen.
I'm not
unless-
blaming the language per se. I'm just saying that for whatever reason, any application that has a loading screen, I don't know what it's written in, mostly on iOS.
Well, blame iOS for that, and that
I
could
knew you were
happen on
gonna
any
say
app because
that.
that's
I
a
knew you were
shitty
gonna-
operating system. Apple doesn't know how to write operating systems. That's been a
Yeah.
thing since forever. What I'm trying to tell you is that existence of a loading screen cannot make an app run slower. That's impossible.
Yeah, the loading screen typically, when people add it to a program, it's because it's a big program that's going to take forever to load, and people want some kind of visual representation of, hey, something's
Yes.
going on. Like
It's
that's why GIMP has
actually a good
GIMP
thing.
has that splash screen, that splash
Yes.
screen that comes up because GIMP takes a minute to load, and they don't want you to sit there and you click on the GIMP icon and then. Did it open? Did it not open?
Shit takes time because guess
Right.
what? Loading into RAM takes time because guess what? Speed of light is a thing, and speed of
Speed of light.
Speed of light.
Now we're going to
doing
space.
things. No, we're not going to space. We're going to actually logically, or let me say it the other word that you will understand better. Latency. Latency is a thing. Or
Yeah.
as in other way we say speed of light because that's how fast the latency in reality is. Just problem is that it still takes time because even though speed of light is fast, it's really not that fast.
No, but what I was saying is maybe something is wrong with these applications because for whatever reason, when the loading screen is done and I want to go scroll, for example, to select my song, scrolling becomes like weird, jittery mess, laggy mess.
That sounds like a problem with your operating system. I'm going to agree with Big Pot on that.
Yes.
Could
That
be
to me
iOS. I don't know.
Oh.
It's a third party app, so hey, I don't know.
That to me sounds like either iOS or hardware problem. Honestly,
No, it's not hardware. It's mostly it could be iOS. I would
why
agree
it couldn't
with
be
that.
hardware?
Because I know my phone. It's the only thing wrong with my phone.
I'm not talking about wrong as in it's broken hardware. I'm talking about it that the hardware just isn't enough as it is.
Well, yeah, it doesn't have the amount of RAM that Android does. It's got like my phone has 3 gigs.
Okay. What kind of processor it has? Like which model?
It's got like a quad core, I think.
Wait, iPhones only have 3 gigs of RAM?
Yeah,
Now
my
they
iPhone
have
11.
more.
No, iPhone 11
Okay,
has
iPhone
3 gigs.
11. Okay. Yeah, it's possible that the app
Memory
you're
management is not
kinda
that great.
has too little hardware to actually
Yeah,
run
it could be that. It
application.
could be that. Yeah, but
Because in theory, if app isn't correctly written, that loading screen stays as a state, which means that it fills certain amount of space in RAM, and there isn't enough RAM.
yeah, there
for it
isn't
to
enough RAM.
actually-
That's for sure.
And the reality is, because it stays in RAM, that is because in modern phones like iPhones actually from a couple of years ago, because that's what people write their applications for, will have more RAM, which means there will be more space
what you're
for
trying to
that
say,
thing
I
to just
guess.
not have
Yeah, but
problem.
what you're trying to say, I guess, is with every update, they update the app to work better with newer phones that have more RAM. And
It's part.
Yes.
It's part
As
of
a
the
result,
planned obsolescence, is
Yeah.
what it is.
No,
Yeah, that
it's
is-
not part of the planned obsolescence. It's basically part of, they try to make the app work best on the newer phones because,
yeah.
that's
They
what
want people to
most
get the
people
newer phone.
have. And developers are lazy. We're so lazy.
Yeah.
Why clean
can
up
agree to
something
that one.
if you don't have to?
Hmm.
Honestly,
Yeah, I can agree to that one. But
that's the point of argument. They probably are optimizing it for the latter devices because those devices are what most people run.
which brings me to a question. I want to ask everyone here and in the chat, because this is a quite a complex question. Is the ecosystem on the app ecosystem on Linux? How do you find the app ecosystem on Linux? For example, GNOME, KDE, the big names out there. They tend to have their own ecosystems that work best with their desktop environment.
I don't
But
care about that.
why, even if they're optimizing their applications for their own
It's fine.
why even if they optimize their applications for their own desktop environments, do they still feel out of place? Or do you feel that they, in some cases they still feel out of place? Like in the case of KDE Plasma, for example, the cute apps still feel out of place.
Because at the end of the day, if it's not first-party application to KDE, they're gonna be idiosyncrasies of the developer themselves. And the whole idea of Qt, GTK, this framework, this means they're gonna be unified. Look, it's an idiotic thought and shouldn't ever be considered even a thing.
I don't even try.
I actually, and most probably will hate me, I actually hate the idea of unified theming. Each application
I don't even try to theme applications anymore. I don't care about theming. I don't care about icon. I gave up on that years ago.
Yeah.
Once GTK went from GTK2, which was pretty good at having everything themed exactly the way you want it, and when they went to GTK3, that was it. All hope was lost for GTK, and KDE has never had good theming across all applications.
My opinion is every application should have its own theming, not use system theming, because that will always break. Always. There will always be differences. Especially just because reality is that there is an expectation of a user to just use one framework then.
Well, once everything is a
illogical
web app,
as an expectation.
Once everything's a web app, we should just be able to theme everything with CSS.
No, actually gonna have a hell of a lot harder time, because then you're gonna have to expect everybody to use exactly the same classes, exact IDs.
Yeah, you're right about that. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, that is he's right, because when you use Docker containers, each front end, like web UI for Docker container, each have their own theming or the lack thereof.
Yeah.
So everything looks out of place, and so I tend to agree with Big Pot on this one, because
I'm gonna tell a secret. That nothing for me looks out of place, because I don't care about that stuff.
Well, if you don't care, yeah, of course. But I agree with you, because
app is an app.
An app is an app, okay, but
that's why for years I've been telling people I have no problem using app images. I have no problems using Flatpaks. I have no problems using snaps. And I've been saying this for years and years. And people, well, the theming doesn't look right. I don't care. Does the program run?
There are certain settings, not themes, settings that should get carried to applications from the OS. There's specifically maybe a color, if application supports that idea of color, and whether it's light or dark.
Yeah,
and that's it.
And the biggest problem
we should look at Windows, of how Windows does theming. Because sorry to tell you, but Windows does theming
it's great.
infinitely better than Linux.
Yeah, it's so much better.
Absolutely no hand in application theming,
because they don't have any themes. They have dark and light.
Is a clue of what kind of system setting is for light or dark, and
for macOS,
possibly for
macOS is good with it too.
You can also specify like an accent color on macOS as well.
So okay. Also, you can on Windows, but most applications don't care about
the worst application. The worst application to be themed ever is LibreOffice, because LibreOffice, if you try to theme it or apply a theme to the system and tell it to use the system theme, everything is gonna look broken. You're not gonna see the ident lines. You're not gonna see the formatting buttons.
LibreOffice is a really complicated program. Like there's so many toolbars. There's so many elements to it.
Even its own internal themes are broken.
Right. Like I said, it's a really complicated program. Like there's a lot. I can understand why. I don't even try to theme LibreOffice. It comes with its default white theme or whatever. Don't play with it. If you play with it, you're going to break the icons. You're going to break everything.
And I'm going to say something that's going to catch a lot of people off guard. I am with you, DT. I gave up on theming. I just keep using Wayland until Wayland completely explodes. But I put up with all the issues of Wayland, and I stopped theming Flatpak.
If you care about theming, this is probably why so many people do gravitate to terminal-based programs, command line programs. It's because if you care about theming, if you run everything in the terminal, it's all going to have the same theme because it's all going to be the terminal color scheme.
So, honestly, if an app has a theme, I'm going to use that. I'm gonna set in that app's theme to be exactly
that's what I do.
If
now.
That's not the case, I just leave it at what the default is. I don't give a damn.
I just use applications dark theme, and that's it. I call it a day. I just use Wayland for some applications because Wayland has a big issue right now with KDE Plasma. He doesn't update it very often. I think he gave up on the theme, but the notifications. One notification comes okay, the next one after it comes all out of shape, in a weird shape.
It's almost impossible to keep up with the changes in GTK and Qt as far as the theming. That's why there's so few good themes out there. It's because it's gotten to the point where if you're a theme maintainer, it is so much work, and you're going to get burned out quickly with all the.
I'm going to say
KDE 6 has issues with its theme. One is with Nvidia. I have a laptop with an Nvidia GPU, and the icons are blanked out. You have to move your mouse over it and get the tooltip. That's a known issue. It doesn't happen. The other one is that the icons, excuse me, some of them don't show up properly. This blank, like the bell notification icon. You don't have it; it doesn't show up in there. That's another known issue as well.
That is 100% true. And I'm going to say another controversial thing is I am now realizing why, and I do agree with them, why the GNOME people say do not theme our apps. And I agree with them now. I see why. I'll
give you another great KDE application that you have to be careful playing with the theming because it'll break the UI and sometimes you won't see icons and things. Kdenlive is another one. Whatever they ship out of the box, whatever that theme is, just don't play with it. Just leave it.
100%. Which brings me to another subject, and this is a very complex subject for me. I stopped using Kdenlive for editing videos. I use DaVinci Resolve. Simply because, okay, I have an Nvidia, it works right out of the box. I don't need to tweak anything, unlike AMD users who have to tweak the shit out of their system to get it working. And they think that AMD is still better than Nvidia for professional work. But the thing is that even KDE's own video editor is such a mess. And they're getting a lot of donations, a lot of money out of the goodness of people's hearts, and that's superb. I love that people are willing to contribute to open source projects, but it's still
I've had some issues here recently with Kdenlive.
Yeah, it has a broken UI. Try dragging and dropping a when you're on Wayland, for example. Try dragging and dropping a media file on top of Kdenlive to get it in there. It's not going to be in there.
I have both the native Arch package of Kdenlive installed, and I always keep an app image of Kdenlive. And
which you should.
In the last 6 months, I've probably had to use the app image at least half the times I want to edit a video because the Arch package is broken in some, or there's something weird going on with it, with some of the things I want to do with the editor, things that were working, no longer working, yada, yada, yada. But the app image always works.
Yep. And guess
every time.
And guess what? Since everybody is pushing Wayland, and they fixed explicit sync and everything for Nvidia and whatever on Wayland, but open Kdenlive in Wayland, drag and drop a media file to get it in there. It will not go into the bin. It will just open and you won't see it in the bin. Do it on.
Well, instead of drag and drop, what if you open the little menu?
No, you can do the old style open add thing, but a lot of us lazy people, drag and drop.
I get it's annoying, but
yeah, but we drag and drop. So it's still an Wayland app. It's not a Wayland. It doesn't have a Wayland native version. So I'm like, you're pushing for Wayland, and your applications still run. Half your applications still run in Wayland.
But that's going to be the case for a little while. I mean,
yeah, that's why I tell people I don't touch Wayland with a 10-foot pole right now, because guess what? My workflow gets cut in half because of Wayland.
Right, but you got to understand, though, people like us are the exception. Most people don't do much on their computers.
They just watch YouTube. Yeah, if you watch YouTube,
they open a browser.
Internet,
that's
okay,
all.
fine.
They navigate to Facebook. They navigate to YouTube, and as long as that stuff's working,
there are gamers. There are still gamers who push Wayland like crazy. I'm like,
if you're a gamer, are you on Linux? Really?
I'm gonna be honest. I use Wayland all the time. Like on my laptop, I cannot do anything but Wayland.
Okay, but you edit on Wayland. No, you go to Windows.
Yes, because Windows has
Premiere
better programs. Yes.
But Big Pod, you're probably on GNOME, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, GNOME is a much better Wayland experience than KDE Plasma.
On GNOME, it's a much, but on KDE Wayland experience, I'm talking from.
That's
whenever I talk about my
software.
Experience, I need people to keep that in mind. I'm talking from a KDE user's experience, not anything else.
My opinion,
I don't use
if
anything.
you intentionally go and make your experience worse, then you
well,
really
I'm not making my
no
experience worse. It's just I use what I'm used to. I don't want to switch and learn to use the workflow of GNOME. Although I can.
You're an old boomer. You're a boomer.
You know what the point? What the catch is? I actually never actually learned the workflow of GNOME. I literally, if you give me Mate, if you give me KDE, if you need me GNOME, I'll probably use it in exactly the same way.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Tiny little detail will change because
I know what
I
get
don't
what you're
really.
Saying.
For me, anything below the applications I use is the things you should get out of the way.
No, here's the thing. I don't want to. When it comes to GNOME, I hate, and I have such a hate relationship with Nautilus. I'm like, I don't want to have to install Thunar or a third-party file browser to overcome that. Whereas on KDE, I use whatever came with KDE. I don't want to have to install another application and get used to that.
You know, a lot of it depends on workflows, Steve, because I can tell you with both GNOME and KDE, like the file manager doesn't even matter. Like if I really am doing anything with file management, I'm just opening the terminal.
Well, okay, your use case, but my use case, there are so many context entries, context menu.
But I'm saying you should be to that point. I'm sure you're probably opening console most of the time if you're really, you know.
Yeah, I use console most of the time, but for example, Dolphin. I'll give you a very simple example. In Dolphin, when I right-click a file or a folder, there's this option in the context menu called duplicate here. If I don't have that in the file manager I'm using on whatever desktop environment, I will not use that desktop environment.
Why?
Yeah, but
because I need that option.
Is it so hard to press Control V, Control C, Control V?
For me, yes. For me, yes.
And can't you add new menu entries into Nautilus? I know
you cannot.
PC
No,
Man
I
FM
couldn't find a way to add duplicate here. I couldn't find a way to add duplicate.
There's got to be.
Also, why would you want to duplicate a file?
I like that feature. I like that option. Sue me. I like that option.
Why would you want to do that? Like, I never understood that.
Call me weird. Thinking. Call me an alien from outer space. I don't mind it. I just
and then you got to type a new name because it's not going to let you just have the same name of a file. Like it's still working.
Duplicate here adds a copy to the name. Adds a copy to the name. I still have to rename the file.
No, but you still have to rename the file. Great.
I'm a weird alien from space.
Name
okay. I'm a weird alien from space.
Only reason I would think of to do a duplication of a file is if I wanted to make
for a person like me who no, you know how my workflow
copy of a
is?
file. If I'm working something on a file and there is an option, I'm going to destroy it. But then again, I'm going to probably select all or select that file and copy it in a separate directory because that way I won't destroy everything.
Big Pod, 1 second. I will tell you what my workflow is. I write posts for my new website in Markdown. And all the posts are, it's a folder. Inside the folder, there's two files, the index.markdown and the featured.png image for the featured image. That's it.
Okay.
So what I do is to create a new post is I right-click the folder, duplicate here, rename it to the new post name, and just start editing the index.md inside that folder. That takes me 3 seconds to do, whereas copy.
You know, Steve, I'm going to give you some advice here. If this is something you do all the time, create a bash script, a little function to do that for you. Maybe have an alias that you can quickly enter in a run launcher, like a 2-letter alias that just automatically will create that template folder for you every time you need a new one.
Again,
that's a good idea, but still, I like to do it. I've been doing it for 5 years. I got used to the right-click context menu.
Okay. I'm using KDE 6 Crusader, and
Crusader.
I've clicked on the folder, user actions, and I have a bunch of bash scripts I wrote. Copy name only quoted, copy full name quoted, copy full name unquoted, copy name only quoted. Get the folder size, backup rename current date, backup current date, rsync. I can rsync between the two left and right sides, compare folders, compare files, fslint, kfind, fast copy folder, delete file or folder.
All this you did yourself?
Yes.
Yeah, you can write little scripts and have them as part of the little right-click context menu and a lot of file managers. You can do this in Thunar, you can do this in PC Man FM. I've got some things like in my PC Man FM, I can actually just right-click anywhere on a directory and have it in the menu open in Emacs, which would be DIRED, the file manager in Emacs. If I'd rather look at that directory in Emacs rather than in PC Man FM, it's a little one-line thing that I added. It's not complicated to add these kinds of simple little functions to.
Well, I don't know. My lazy excuse is I got used to that context menu. If I don't have it, and not only that, Nautilus has this issue of we don't care about options, so you don't get any.
Well, that's true. It's probably the least feature-rich file manager we have.
Exactly. And I realized
you can install Nemo.
That a problem? Why is a problem of there isn't options?
Well, it's a problem for me. Okay, so it's not a problem
Why?
for you. You're gonna find a million reasons. I know you're gonna find a million reasons why it shouldn't be a problem.
Why?
Well,
Why
anyway,
is it a problem? Like, I want to
it
know.
is a
like,
problem, and I'm gonna leave it at that. But there's another valid thing that is a problem for me, since I'm a visual person. I have a lot of GitHub repositories, and there's this check mark on my icons to tell me which one has been pushed to the repo and which one orange
Yeah,
thing.
They let you know if there's any commits waiting or
commits
yeah.
waiting. On Nautilus, there is this tool called Turtle. It doesn't work correctly. On KDE Plasma's Dolphin, it's just called Dolphin plugins, and that's it. That's all you need, and you don't have to configure it or anything.
Steve, that's a neat feature, but when you go to actually push something to your GitHub, your GitLab, you do have to enter a terminal, right? So you're already at the terminal. Wouldn't you just be able to see if you have anything that needs to be committed in the terminal?
No,
when you do like a git status or
no, I don't use I don't use it the same way you do. I have a script called push.
Oh, it's just all automated. Okay,
it's automated, so I need to visually tell which files have been committed and which haven't. This is very important to me. And with Dolphin, it's just called Dolphin plugins. I don't have to configure anything.
You still have to enter a commit message.
I do it via terminal. I just run the push. I run the push script. It tells me what do you want to put the message as, and that's it.
He runs a script. It opens a terminal, asks him to enter a message, and away it goes.
Yep, and the way it goes. So, but I need to visually tell which files have been pushed or not. All the script does is actually push.
So you have absolute no control over what you want to push at one time, or what you want to.
I don't need control. The Dolphin tells me which files have been pushed or not.
Yeah, but you don't always.
He's talking about what if you want to push one file at a time instead of the whole.
What if you want to like commit in a single commit one file or
right?
I never have that situation.
Go together.
Never had that
situation.
Again,
this might be meeting because I'm a professional developer, and that's actually a thing you have to do in a professional environment.
No, but here's the thing: I never need to push a single file because
that are. It's not single file. Let's say, for example, I'm working on two features that are in separate files. Like, let's say files A, B, and F are for feature 1, and file
never
C,
had to
D
deal with
are
that
for feature
before.
2.
No, I don't even know. I don't even know. I'll give you the degree of ignorance that I have. I don't even know how to push to different branches. Because I have never needed to use more than one branch.
Typically.
Oh wow.
Well, yeah. Well, basically, most of the time you're creating a new branch if you're pushing to somebody else's repository.
No, I'm never pushing to anybody else's repository. Only mine.
They'll have a main branch. They may have a development branch.
Yeah, I understand that. I use one guy that used to help me with my old tool, GUI tool. He had a master branch and a development branch, and he told me to always push to the development branch.
Right.
I never,
of course.
Yeah, but I never had the need where I needed to change the branch and push to the master branch and go back to push. No, I always push to the dev branch. I never needed to push to switch branches and push to a different branch. I always push to a single branch.
I could understand that. Yeah.
So I don't know how to do
basics.
that. So I wrote I didn't write the script. I will give credit where credit is due. I just stole Eric's script, modified it to.
Well, when you're pushing to your own repositories, like I'm doing on my GitLab stuff, or what you're doing, or what Eric Dubois is doing, it doesn't really matter. But when you're working on somebody else's project,
it does matter.
You can't make a massive commit of a whole bunch of different files and put it all as one commit. They want you to split it up and actually give a detailed commit message on each change and each file. That's what Big Pod was talking about.
I know. That when we get there, I'll learn that. But since I never needed to get there so far.
You may never need to. That's, as I was just saying, that's what he was talking about.
Yeah. Because I push only to one to my branch to my repositories, I just run this Eric's push script, and
I say that as somebody I know people have gotten mad. I've seen it when you make a real big change to an open source project and make a huge one-time commit, they don't like that.
Of course they don't like that, because when I wanted to join the AUR team to help them with curate packages and the test packages before they push validate them the PKG builds, they wanted me to describe open the PKG build, add a very long and descriptive text about each and every change or fix I included in the I changed in the PKG build before submitting it, and I had to push different files to different branches.
Well, of course, of course, you're going to push it to a different branch.
Yeah, because they don't want anything to go into the main branch. The main branch is the final product.
They'll merge it in if they approve it.
Yeah, they push it in when they approve it. So I was like, this is a lot of work. See, I don't want to do that.
No, that's not a lot of work. That's normal amount of work.
I know it's normal. I know, but for me, the lazy guy.
Work sucks.
The lazy guy.
Work sucks, exactly.
Oh, is that Hip Dad?
Yeah.
Hey, Granddaddy, how you doing, Granddaddy?
All right. I paid you off so I could come in.
How's it been?
Life sucks. Then you're me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can relate. Well, I can't relate to being you, but I can relate to the life sucks part.
Well, if you become me, then it's really bad. It's past life sucks.
It's worse than most.
Yes. Yes. No, I'm just whining.
Well, that's all this stream's been about. We've been listening to Steve whine since the beginning.
Well, I haven't whined.
Well, thank you for that, Derek.
Well, the only thing, I mean, I don't have anything to whine about as far as Linux. I mean, I do have something to say real quick as far as for warnings for people. The new 555 update on Nvidia driver utilities. When you first do it, if you're in Arch, it might be in other distros. When you first apply the update, it will hose your Steam. You won't be able to play any games, and that's when you're in a Flatpak Steam. Do not do anything. Don't touch the Flatpak. Don't uninstall it. Just leave it alone. Wait for the next update, which will, because when you get the 555 update, you get a kernel update too. The kernel is what hoses the games. So the next update you get within probably 10, 15 minutes, or longer, when you update that, it's a kernel update too. It fixes it. And then there's like 2 more 555 updates and a kernel update even later. Now, I haven't
it looks
tried
like
to
the
play,
latest is 555.58.
No,
Dash
78. I think.
I don't know. I didn't have any issues so far with 555.
He's talking about the Flatpak of.
Oh no, it's 5.8. Yeah, 5.8.
Oh, it's only on Flatpak.
Always when you update kernel for the Nvidia driver, you need to afterwards update your Steam Flatpak. That's been known for years now.
Well, I do that too, but you didn't have to update. The Steam Flatpak didn't have an update. I tried 3 or 4 times. There was no update for the Flatpak.
They were out of sync a little bit.
Yeah, they were out of sync, and they did push two new updates to the 555 drivers. Now they're at -4.
Yeah,
it was -01, then -02, then -03, now -04.
Yay, bug fixing.
Yeah, well, when did this happen? Because I actually have an Nvidia card, of course, on my
yesterday. 2 days ago.
2 days ago? Well, I need to be aware of that then.
Yeah.
I'm glad you told me about that. Because I do actually occasionally log into Steam on my home computer, and it runs Nvidia. So
right, and you can play Call of Duty Black Ops 3 now in Linux.
Nice.
Really?
Yep. I installed it and played it for a little bit, but waiting for.
I want to ask you a question, Hipdad. Did you recently receive a major update to 0 day zeros, whatever it's called?
Here's the funny thing about that. I went to install LibreOffice. Okay, the fresh thing, the whole package.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, just in case I needed it, and it gave me a thing that there was a problem that if I wanted to install LibreOffice, I had to remove 0AD. And I said, no, I'm not removing 0AD because someday I might be able to beat DT. But we will Then I went and did an update right after that, and it had an update for 0AD, and then I was able to install LibreOffice.
Yay, Arch
Yeah, that
repositories.
doesn't even make sense because 0AD literally has, at least I've never seen a dependency with it when you install it.
It was something like mini lib something. Yeah.
Huh.
Wow.
It was really strange.
Now, it is really strange. Yeah.
I mean, I can look
that's
it up
a horrible
and tell you.
package developer, nothing else.
I'm sure it's Big Pod is right. It's either the fault of the Arch team or Pac-Man is the worst package manager ever.
Yeah, once I see the file name again, I'll be able to.
Yeah, I was talking about the Generation 0. Did you get? Did you receive a massive update? 11 gig or something update?
Well, I don't know if it was massive, but yeah, it was there. The dependency file was mini UPnPC.
Oh, apparently it's a popular package in the Arch repo because it came right up in the search. Yeah, it's a library tool to access internet gateway devices.
Yep.
Why does LibreOffice need that?
I think it's for their. Well, I'm on XFCE, yes, but yeah, I mean, I don't really know. I just know it was really weird that I didn't have a 0AD update until I tried to do that, and then I had one. I was like, "What the fuck?" Excuse my language. I don't demonetize you.
No, it's all good.
Again, Pac-Man is the worst package manager ever.
Yeah, well, right now,
I do have a question concerning that. Do you use PackUI, DT?
PackUI, what is that?
It's a package. It's a Pac-Man package manager command line, but it has.
I've not seen that.
Yeah. You might want to try it, but once you look into it, you'll realize that it can be very, very dangerous.
Well,
okay. I think I found it over on GitHub.
Why?
Yeah, I mean, it installs from the repos.
Yeah,
does it support the AUR?
Look at the source code a little bit before.
Yes, it does. That's the thing, is you can access the AUR with PackUI.
You know what? Now that I look at the screenshots, I think I have seen this before. I've never, at least I don't think I've ever played with it myself, but I do recognize the menu.
It has some interesting features, and I've used it a couple times to find issues that I didn't know I had.
My guess is there's so many Arch-based distros out there, I bet I've tried some before that actually use this tool. That's probably where I've seen it.
Yeah, well, but it's interesting, but with a big warning, it can be dangerous.
Because it apparently it updates Flatpaks, it updates snaps, obviously, it updates the main repos, it updates the AUR.
Yep.
Wow. So you're right, that is dangerous.
And it has a I don't know if it's called repair feature or it's a thing where it let's see here, let me bring it up real quick, and I can. It's kind of like it has in red. It has fix Pac-Man errors. Do not do that. Do not.
Yeah, it has a downgrade tool also built into it if you want to downgrade packages, which is also dangerous.
Yeah.
Well,
it's kind of like
if you know what you're doing, I guess it's a cool tool. I wouldn't want to put this in the hands of every user on a distribution, though.
It's kind of similar to Top Grade.
Very similar. Yep.
Very similar, but a little more tasty. Okay. Top Grade now will completely, without you knowing what's going on, it can hose your system.
Yeah, that is true, especially when you if you don't disable your GitHub repository updates.
Yeah, this one warns you left and right and says, "Hey, do you really want to do this?"
Well, at least, yeah, I agree. It's tastier because Top Grade doesn't tell you anything; it just hoses your system. That's why at the end
updates the chaotic AUR as well. Yeah, it's got a lot of stuff in it. Well,
yeah, you can list what's installed from the AUR. I mean, that's pretty cool.
And I must digress in this one and accept the fact that having the chaotic AUR has been the most useful thing I've ever had on my system because it saved me from having to compile anything from the AUR.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I still have to compile some things that are not in the chaotic AUR.
Well, very few.
But yeah, if it's anything reasonably popular, it's already been compiled for you.
And the best part of the chaotic AUR, where I requested something on their GitHub, and they added it right in. It was a driver, libusb git driver, because the one on the Arch repositories has been updated in ages. But if you install the Git version of libusb, then I can connect my iPhone over USB and use the webcam over USB instead of Wi-Fi. Thanks to BigPod for telling me that I jitter a lot using Wi-Fi, so I fixed it.
Yeah. Now, when I made my video a few months back about the chaotic AUR and how I loved it, I did get a lot of people complain about security issues with the chaotic AUR, because really you should be reading the package build and compiling it yourself if you want to be safe. Which, dude, we get that, but we're trying to save time. Like, I understand
that's an Arch user that came from Gentoo.
Yeah, that's like, I understand that argument. But come on,
that's a user who has a brain. Because at the end of the day,
shots fired.
When you're doing any kind of install
talking about
with a package manager, you give the package creator root access to your system. They can literally do anything, including
you give every package manager root access. Every package manager on your system has root access.
So basically, going by what BigPod said,
trust to there is some implied trust to the package,
that is true.
Package repository, because you install their distro, you probably trust them.
Yes, we get that, BigPod. But going by what you said, then users have to spend their days and their months and their years reading package builds and Git repositories.
Yes.
Yeah, people have all that time.
Yeah, but I'm running Hannah Montana, so I have to get my repos from the American Music Association.
Wow. Hannah Montana, that still runs?
I might try to run it. I got a little like a Chromebook like HP that I could probably put that on there.
You know, the only unfortunate thing, you can still run it and install it and run it, but because Kubuntu 904, the repos no longer work, you actually can't install anything on it. So
yeah, I had that on my friend's computer, my coworker at work. I put Kubuntu on a computer he found in the garbage, and it runs just fine, but then the repos died.
You know what would make an interesting video for those of you like BigPod that, you know, might want to do this? It would be great to see somebody take Hannah Montana Linux and change all the repos to the modern Kubuntu repos and see if that massive 15-year upgrade would actually work.
It wouldn't.
I know it wouldn't, but I would love to see it on camera. I don't want to do it.
That would be something for Josh.
Yes. Good idea.
That would be worse than trying to install Gentoo while you're sitting backwards.
It would be a complete and total train wreck.
Yeah.
Because there's no way. The kernel has changed so much. KDE's changed so much. Obviously, the init system completely different. There's no way that update would go well.
In theory, it should work well, but it won't.
It won't. There's no way. The change from Upstart to System D, I think.
That has no bearing on it.
I don't know.
I'd
be worried.
There's so many other problems that that wouldn't work. First of all, it's upgrading packages on a running system. That's one of the worst things that happen, and that kind of change for that kind of a system is going to cause problems. That's why I do not use traditional package managers anymore, because they break everything.
You swore them off, huh? You're going all. You just going the atomic route these days.
Yep. Been going.
Makes sense.
With the atomic route for more than a year now.
Okay. Speaking of which, I want to say this to BigPod. I have a spare SSD that I'm willing to do something with. And the thing that I want to do with this SSD is install Aurora.
Okay.
Because it's KDE, naturally.
Well, of course.
Naturally. I'm not going to use any other desktop environment, so don't try to convince me. Yeah, for you, Big Hip Dad, I know your experience was very bad, and it's understandable. I'm not gonna argue that or deny that. But for me, all the issues, I don't see them anymore because I can live with them. I can tolerate them. But I want to install Aurora because I want to see what's the deal with all this atomic distros thing. I hope to God that it's not going to be downloading gigabytes every update because I don't have that kind of quota.
You should, I mean, obviously, installing Flatpaks
Well,
is a little, they're bigger than your native packages,
No, I don't
but it's
receive
not, but it's not
The
going to
thing
make
is, I don't receive them all at once.
You're not going to,
Flatpak a day, maybe.
You've got so much storage. I mean, it's even, I know people hate the idea of everything being shipped in these containerized packages, but honestly, these days with modern drives.
No, I'm not talking about that kind of quota. I'm talking about internet quota.
Oh, well, I mean.
Yeah. Downloading stuff, I got 30 gigs a day, 20 gigs a day. So that's 600, give or take, 600 per month. So if I have multi-gigabyte updates every day and I use the internet a lot.
Do you need to take an update every day?
Then don't update every day.
Yeah, I just wouldn't take an update every day. That's my
If there's
my
no
solution.
update every day, I will feel weird.
You update every day on Arch?
Yeah.
Well,
every
it would
day?
be about the same. It'd be about the same.
Wait. Every day? Every 25 minutes, I run the update.
I update whenever I feel like it. That's probably once
a week. Few
weeks.
I do.
Because
I might
update
update
every
6 times a day. I might
No,
update
every 25 minutes. I have a timer. I have a notification.
Why?
Because that's how I like to do it. I told you I'm an alien from space.
Yeah.
I take and start my computer. I come out of sleep mode or whatever, and I get up in the morning, and first thing I do is bring up terminal, hit update.
Yeah, it's just part of a routine.
Yeah, it's just my routine. Anytime
I have a widget.
Set at the computer.
Yeah, I have a widget in my tray called App Datafire. It notifies me of Flatpaks, AUR, widget update, plasmoid updates, everything. And every 25, I set it to check for update every 25 minutes, and every 25 minutes, 100% on Arch, you get at least 2 or 3 updates.
As long as your widget doesn't itch, you're okay.
Yeah. So I run the update every 25 minutes. So I like that. I love it. So
Okay, let me see when I last updated my laptop.
No, I'm not. I was just kidding, Big Bud. It's just
yeah. Well, I've got the same thing. My laptop, I pulled it out before I went down south, and it had 567 updates.
Well, that's nice.
That's about
I
normal.
like seeing that.
Yeah.
I like seeing that. But no, I wanted to see what the whole deal was with atomic things because.
If you're talking about from an end user perspective.
Yeah, it's not end user, but no.
It's not really a difference from any other distribution. It's just a different way to manage packages. But as far as it's still KDE Plasma, I mean,
no. I'm talking about me point of view. My workflow.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're a little bit of a different kind of person. I don't know what you're going to think about it, but most people probably wouldn't make a difference either way.
Yeah, it's KDE. It's KDE. I'm not saying KDE is going to be any different. It's just the updates system, and I like the the fact that it's a different version of top grade. It's a better version of top grade. I will say because it's actively being developed, unlike top grade that receives an update every year.
And that's the problem.
But I want to mess with it, and I want to see if it can sway me from Arch. No, I guess it will, but hey, I'm just hoping.
I can't stand. Kilo brought up a thing about update notifications. I can't stand update notifications, and I massively hate Octopi. I removed that right
I like
away.
Octopi.
Oh, it's nasty. I hate it.
That's interesting.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I just don't like GUI package managers anymore. I just use the terminal, and I use App Datafire because it notifies me every 25 minutes.
Yeah, any GUI package manager on Arch is better than PAMAC, though.
That is true. That is true. Especially now.
I restarted my laptop 2 days ago. So that's when last update happened for me.
Oh, okay. The thing I like about no, I wanted to tell you about the Pamac. You know that Pamac is broken on Manjaro?
I don't doubt it. Because
On
it's always
Manjaro,
broken
it's
on
broken.
Arch.
The creators of Pamac's operating system is broken.
I've never had it not be broken. Every time I've ever played with Pamac, it was broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I've
nice
never
to use
really-
it to see what... No, there is one good thing about Pamac. You can click a package and see the contents of the package and see where it's going to install the files within that package.
Yeah.
That's the only good feature.
Yeah. Oh,
the only redeeming
that's
feature.
what I like about it. I like the search feature, and I like how it tells you the dependencies and all the files it's going to install and all that.
Yeah,
I do like
that's the
Pamac for
only
that.
redeeming feature to Pamac. That's it.
Yeah, I mean the GUI, the actual UI and all is nice. It's just it doesn't work installing the packages. It's
It
like
takes
it's a package
forever.
manager, but it's not really a.
If you run a sudo pacman SYU in terminal, it goes by instantly. It's done instantly. Try to do it with Pamac. It's going to take 3
the
minutes.
update button, yeah, it's slower. Yeah.
3 minutes.
Mr. Dubois give me a alias of update, and that's what I use.
That is true. Yeah, you have the alias for that. Yeah.
Well, so did Zero Linux for all throughout its lifespan because I copied Eric Dubois' aliases.
Well, guys, we're coming up at the end of 2 hours here, and let's go ahead and get a last word in.
I need 2 minutes to say my last words.
So. Oh, you're going to get 2 minutes at the end, but let's start with Hip Dad, because I'm sure he's got a lot to share with us. He's got his utility knife out. That's a nice utility knife.
And I got a bunch of extra tools and stuff. Oh. I'm preparing for retirement. I did a lump sum on one of my retirements, and I'm, updating my tool stuff that I use for work, and I'm going to be doing house renovations, and I'm going to be taking a trip overseas and stuff like that, So.
Yeah, cool. Anything else you want to share with us on our way out?
Viva la XFCE.
Well said. Big Pod, give us a last word.
C# is the best programming language, and Go is the second best programming language, even though I hate its dependency management system. Also, YAML is great.
Wow.
That's all for me.
C#, Go, and YAML. That's like the evil trifecta there. You didn't have a spot for JavaScript? You just leaving JavaScript out?
Are you developing your?
It's great at what it's supposed to do. Problem is people push it in all the areas it shouldn't be in.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us, Big Pod. Basher52. I don't know if he's mic'd up. If you are, would you like to take a minute and give us a last word on our way out?
Long live Linux.
Very, very well said. Murray, I know you've got something for us.
Yeah, you got 2 things for you.
All right, share.
Just came across an article that Meta LLM compiler has been released. AI compiler built on 546 billion tokens, improves speed of compilation and advanced optimizations. So that looks pretty good. The other thing is there's a chatbot called Vicuna, which is free. It has at least 20 models to work with. And
what's that name?
Vicuna, Vicuna. And it has a neat feature. It has 2 search engine bots at the same time. You enter one prompt and you get it past two chat bots, and it picks them at random from a list. And it asks you to, on the left and right side, which one you like the best. When you press that, it'll tell you what the chatbot was that you used. It's quite good. Actually, you could enter something like, is Derek Taylor of Distro bald? And you can get 2 responses randomly. And you can pass it.
It would get that right.
I'm not saying it hallucinates, but it's fun for the whole family. I'll put it that way. Anyway, that's it for me today.
Well, now that you put that in my head, I'm going to start asking Chat GPT and Llama and everything else. That'll be my test to see if it's worth using.
Yeah.
That's all right, Murray. Appreciate you. Slindy, give us the last word.
Well, be careful with knives, and Odin is an underrated programming language.
All right. Dark Zero, do you have
Node
anything?
is not a programming language.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Odin is a programming language. What do you mean?
Node is not a programming language. It's a runtime.
Yeah, it is. I'm
It
recording
kind of
it.
it kind of qualifies.
Programming language is JavaScript. Please get that right.
Okay.
Steve, give us some wise words on our way out.
Yes, it is wise words. You said the right thing. Thank you for giving me the time, because today is going to be a little bit longer than usual, 2 minutes. But I just wanted to say that we need to keep it friendly in the Linux sphere, because I have seen a lot of elitism lately. Especially when I did try to write a post, since I am a writer now. I am no longer a content creator. I'm going to leave my YouTube channel as it is. I'm not going to delete it. I'm not going to do that mistake. But no more videos. I am confident in my decision. I am a writer now, a blog post writer, not a real blog post writer.
Yeah, it's still content. It's just not video content.
Just not video content, because of this reason. The reason is written content you can copy and paste and send to colleagues and friends and others. YouTube videos, they have to skim through the video to get to the right part if no chapters are there. It's not as useful as a content as written content. They go together instead of one being the only thing. They go hand in hand. We complete each other. We complement each other. I thank each and every content creator, you included, DT. You are one of the best out there. Big Pod, everyone who creates content, thank you for everything you do, because when I used to do content, I discovered how hard of a task it can be at times. Having to do the research, having to have the right equipment, enough money to buy the right equipment, and all that. But we need to also stop all the elitism. And when I wrote the article related to AMD versus Nvidia, where I tried my best, my utmost to remove any kind of favoritism, because I didn't want people to call me AMD shill or Nvidia shill or whatever. That's not the point of blog posts. So, but still, people managed to see favoritism where there was none. And I said, if you do see favoritism, that means you either didn't read the entire article or you have allegiance to one of these two sides, and you refuse to see the other side. So
well, you wrote an article about AMD versus Nvidia, and you were shocked that people.
No, I wasn't shocked. I'm not saying I was shocked. I expected.
What's your next article? Vim versus Emacs?
No, I'm not gonna do any versus articles anymore, because I realize that people will always see favoritism somewhere. So
always.
Yeah. So I'm like, we need to stop this, and we need to be very friendly in the Linux sphere instead of trying to push our own views on each other. Try to understand each other's needs and recommend the right thing to the right person, instead of, hey, I use KDE, that means you need to use KDE, or else I'm not going to be friends with you. But no, that's not the kind of thing we need to do. We need to see what their needs are, help them. Like somebody asked me today, ask me something along the lines, so if you don't use Windows and you don't know how to use Windows, wait until you receive a machine with Windows on it, or a user having frustrations with Windows. And he told me, you're gonna laugh. I was like, no, on the contrary, I'm not gonna laugh. I'm gonna tell that person that if they're frustrated with Windows, I will tell them that such a thing as macOS and Linux exist, and whichever they choose, I will help them with that. instead of lashing at them and laughing at them because of their choice. So we need to be that kind of people. But if you don't want to be that kind of people, it's too much work, then you have nothing to do and talking to people. You're not a social person. You don't stop socializing, because if you're going to spit out poison, stop that. Just go stay in
Welcome
your
to
corner and keep to
programmers.
yourself.
Welcome to computer people. We're not
Yeah, I know,
social.
but I'm trying to do my best right now to make the Linux community to give people the right impression about the Linux
friendly.
community.
We should be all inclusive to everybody except those that like C#. We can't be friends with those
Yeah,
people.
that's true.
Nice spin on that
Okay.
one. But
I don't need friends. Don't worry.
yeah,
That's not a problem.
but that's it. That's my message today.
right.
I know it's been a long one, but let's keep it friendly.
All right. Well, thank you, Steve. Of course, my last word, as always, is thanking you guys for hanging out with me here on camera. And other than that, we want to thank the patrons that couldn't be here. So I'm going to show some cards here on the screen real quickly. And other than that, on our way out today, wave bye to YouTube.
Horizons,
Bye.
Horizons,
Bye.
watch it.
Me and Hip Dad are the only ones on camera. So.